All right, guys, this company called Audio Tech Hub has like some of the dopest new plugins. And the new one I just got is called Custom Tone. So basically, I believe it's like a one-shot loader, and then you could run these effects. And it does something else behind the scenes. I can't tell exactly what it does. So if we go through the presets here and switch to something clean, I'll put it on Crown for now. And what I'm going to do is just crank up some of these effects like chorus. And what else can we add here? Let's add some width, and then let's pull up the octave. 12. Let's pull the sound up 12 semitones. Let's add a filter to it, and just crank the reverb up a little bit. And what we can do is drag our one shots into the screen here, and now it changes it completely because here's the one shot sound. It's like a Moog bass, and then when you play it in this plugin. So I don't know exactly what it does to the actual sound, but it does something unique. And then we can put it on reverse. So let's pull the octave back down for this chord we're about to play. So let's turn this up. So let's do 140 BPM. So it gives off that same kind of vibe as multi-keys without doing a bunch of multi-keys. All right, let's do A minor into D minor. Okay, so I just switched up the chords a little bit. You guys will get the project files if you go to the website, busyworksbeats.com. So this plugin again is called Custom Tone. And again, I'm not sure how it actually works. No idea. Let's run this through this effect plugin by the same company, Audio Tech Hub. Let's run it through Proton. So the way I hear it is just crank the mix level all the way up and then just mess with these knobs. Go to the effects tab and start messing with the mix levels here so that you can actually hear the effect. Let's add some delay. Let's add some chorus. Sorry, I'll crank the volume up. All right, so I'm pulling the chorus back so it's not so aggressive. Pull the reverb back, and let's mess with the granular. Let's see if the octave is a little too much for this vibe. And then we could also add reverse. It just takes time for you guys to hear the reverse. Okay, so we could blend this in. So now it's a vibe. There's more plugins from this company. One's called Burr and one's called Gur. So let's open up Burr, which is like, I have no idea what this does, but it's like a probabilistic, if that's the proper grammar. It seems like a delay or some kind of tremolo effect, but it's based on probability, so it's more random. So again, if you can't hear the effect, just turn it up. 100% mix level. And then you can kind of read these values here. Again, I don't know what this does exactly, but this is the probability knob here. So let's blend it in. And if we want more lows, we could get rid of the filter. Now we have a fuller chord. All right, now let's go to some other plugins here so we can grab some bass sounds. Let's go to their trap synth. This one's really good for bass and just all things trap. But they have a really good bass here. So we're going to use this one. So I'm just going to record this bass line. Forgot the chords I played. It was A minor, D minor, and then we went to the dominant chord of E, and then I did the same thing. Okay, so I just try to be fancy there with the bass. See if I can mess with the release tail. Let's pull back the release. Now we have a unique vibe. Crazy vibe already. Really, you could just get away with this and some drums. I wouldn't overkill an R&B beat. This would probably be where I would actually stop adding sounds. But let's go back to that custom tone. Let's see if we can add like a bell maybe on top. Let's try to find a one shot. Let's drag it in. Get just the right amount of sounds. Let's just add this as like more of an accent. So one of the notes I want to just fix. All right, so let's add a couple effects on this. Let's add Proton. Now this one I just want reverb and the granular effect. Let me see if I pitch down the grains, what that would sound like. So we're going down. Let me just solo the sound. So now when the sound hits, it creates a sublayer. There's also this movement thing. I forgot to turn that on before. And there's like a filter. Let's turn on some filter motion here. But this, let's use a low pass filter. Let's add a little resonance. And let's blend in the mix level here. I think I'm doing this right. Let's see. So I don't know how to turn this filter on. Oh, here it is. Okay, you got to click this little button here, I think. So let's slow down the timing to maybe 1/2. And then we could change the shape. Let's do more of a sawtooth. Not sure how to. There we go. Let's add a little chorus in here just to widen the sound out. And then let's mess with the reverse. Let's solo just the sound. So this sound is so unique. You could literally just stack it with the bass without the chords. Now what I'm going to do is widen this sound. Let's add a fruity stereo enhancer. What I'll do to make this more custom is let's create an automation clip on the mix level of Proton, turn it off for the first half, and turn it on in the second half. My ear wants me to add some drums in here, so let's see if we can add some drums. Now on the second half, let's add a plugin here called Kickstarter. This is going to create, we could also use Serum effects. Actually, let's do Serum. That might be more accurate. So we're going to use Serum 2 effects, and all I want to do here is automate a filter with an LFO. We're going to give it a ramp shape like this, give it a cutoff, and I want this to be really slow, so maybe like 2 bars. So it would be like that. Now to activate the audio through it, you have to turn on the noise and go to where it says Note Latch, and then now the audio will come through the plugin. So let's slow this maybe to 1 bar. And then we could pull in the range here. Could also add a little drive for more harmonics. So that adds a little more movement on the second half without adding a bunch of effects or more sounds, I should say. Let's turn this off. Same thing here. We're going to turn it off in the beginning and then on at 100% the second half. now let's mess with the BPM. There's another plugin called Gur. I want to see what that sounds like. I assume it's a saturation. Oh, that's dope. So let's add that in the beginning to lighten up that bass. Give it an aggressive tone. Let's start shaping this bass. So this is the mix level right here. This is like the harmonic structure. You could just hit generate. I guess it does random values. It also does something else behind the scenes. Again, it might be like an auto filter or something. Pretty unique. Sounds crazy on drums. The Gur plugin sounds so crazy on drums. What I'm gonna do is automate maybe the second half of the drum. So this beat has really unique textures because of all these plugins combined. Let's play it one more time. let's play this one time through with the effects on now. So the plugins from Audio Tech Hub have been making me super creative. These are built for producers. These plugins are crazy, as you guys can see. So I'll leave a link below to Audio Tech Hub. I want you guys to check out their plugins because these are inspiring me to make beats that are just way different because it comes from the mind of a music producer. All right, guys, subscribe if you're new. Peace.